Today we're reviewing the heavy equipment side panel by Logitech for Farming Simulator, and is it ready for Farming Simulator 22? Let's take a look right now. Well folks, welcome in. Thank you for joining me today. Once again, we are looking at the heavy equipment side panel for Farming Simulator by Logitech. And of course folks, just for transparency, I am partnered with Giants. However, I've bought this unit with my own money and no one has paid me to say anything about this. So my thoughts are my own on this unit. Now, as we roll into Farming Simulator 22, this is still considered to be the quintessential controller for Farming Simulator. Now, this particular controller has had a very storied history of sorts. It's seen some different companies. It's been published under some different names. Let's talk a little bit about that quickly. Now, this product comes in two different variations currently. You have the heavy equipment bundle, which includes the side panel, as well as a wheel and a set of pedals. And then you can also just get the heavy equipment side panel, which we have here, just includes the side panel. Now, SciTech originally released this product back in 2015 for Farming Simulator 15 for that matter. And to be honest, guys, it hasn't changed really at all since then. What you saw back in Farming Sim 15, you're still gonna see today. It's the same thing. Now, originally, this product was developed and released by a company called SciTech, which was also owned by Mad Catz from roughly 07 to about 2015. At which point it was bought by Logitech, and now Logitech is the company that sends out this product and puts this product out. SciTech is still the manufacturer, however, Logitech has their name on it. So today, let's take a quick look at the heavy equipment side panel and just talk about everything it does, what it can do, and what it doesn't do. So what's in the box? Well, it's pretty much the same as what all Logitech stuff is as of late. You're gonna find you have the bare minimums. You've got, of course, some packaging to protect everything. You've got the side panel itself. You have a tiny little warranty information card, and that's it. Don't expect any fun unboxings here. As for the side panel itself, guys, it is essentially a button box with 28 unique buttons that can be programmed to do whatever you like. It does have an interesting form factor, however, which is its big party trick. You also have the roller on the left there and a joystick that's included with that. More on that later. Now, as for the size, this caught me off guard. I always expected it to be bigger. Your length is about 13 inches. Your height is 8 inches from top to very bottom. You got a width of 6.5. But the big thing is it sticks out roughly 9 inches from your desk, even from where that little cutout is. So be expecting that. It does stick out a little bit farther than maybe you might be expecting. So make sure you make room for your chair. And like I said, as for documentation that's included, guys, there's nothing here to really talk about. You get the warranty information. And of course, the most bare bones instructions you could probably possibly think of. Just simply plug it in and you should be good to go. Now, as for design and durability, we've got a couple interesting things here. First off, the cord comes off the side on the left. Now, if you're gonna set this up on the right, be mindful you may be hitting that with your knee. I put that on the left. I do have drawers that actually will hit that, which is kind of something I need to think about. But other than that, the actual stability of all the plastic is actually not too bad. I do feel relatively comfortable and it seems pretty sturdy. As for the desk clamp itself, it also seems sturdy enough, rather large, easy to twist, not a problem there, lots of thick plastic. Once again, it is all plastic, of course. Keep in mind, it will accommodate desks up to approximately 1 3/4 inch. So if you have a thicker desk, be mindful of that. Inside the clamp itself, you're gonna find you got rubber pads on all the touch points. Do a decent job of keeping the panel secure on your desk and avoid it from moving around. On the top of the side panel near the back, you're gonna find there are some slots that are still on there. We were told this was originally for some peripherals that just never came to fruition. Maybe one day, fingers crossed. Now, as for the buttons themselves on the controller, this is where I have some issues with this. The buttons themselves are all very cheap feeling, to say the least. There's very little travel, if not any, very clicky, not very tactile though. Just kind of an interesting choice of button. Also, the 4 buttons from 17 to 20 that are squared off, you'd expect those to be toggles, and they're not. They're just simple buttons. Really disappointed in this. This would be nice. It's so easy to put these into a toggle, and yet here they are. They're buttons. Of course, we've got 3 buttons down along the bottom, and then 1 main button down there. Once again, just simple buttons, not toggles whatsoever. Very straightforward buttons. Unfortunate, they could have done so much more with this. Really disappointed there, unfortunately. Oh well, what can you do? Now, where they did actually make things nice, the slider toggle right here, the roller, does feel quite nice. It's very distinctive. You can feel each click, and it's also a button. It's a push down button. Very nice choice there. Actually, that button actually feels really nice by comparison to everything else as far as buttons go on the controller. So there you go. Joystick in the middle, you got 2 buttons on top, And the one button on the right actually has a light inside of it that does transfer depending on what mode you're in. So it's a double moded joystick. We'll talk more about that a little later on. Now, to set up the side panel, you're going to go into your control panel and take a look at the SideTech panel control deck settings. Of course, you can set the sensitivity to the joystick itself like all your other controllers. But then we go to our button assignments. Now, this is not assigned for the most part. There are some key items that are assigned, but you can see here, I've assigned all of these for the most part. There are a few that come predetermined. However, the vast majority of the buttons, you're going to have to decide what each button does. You're gonna have to come up with a system. There's some people online that have posted some stuff. I'll make sure I put down my link down in the description on what I use for what. But I was somewhat disappointed. I was expecting to see that the buttons themselves would have been already pre-programmed, and maybe I could have learned from that like they are with a controller. No luck here. You've got to program it yourself and figure out what buttons you would like to have do what in Farming Simulator on the control panel. Interesting decision there. Also, food for thought, the SideTech or the Logitech side panel does not show up on the Logitech Hub software, much like actually some of the flight sim software stuff as well. If it's been done by SideTech, it doesn't show up in the Logitech software. Okay, so now let's talk about, well, the most important feature. What I feel the most important feature is about this side panel, and that there, guys, is the joystick. Without that joystick, this side panel is simply a button box that can be done with any other item out there. There's so many other options you could use, but that joystick changes this device and makes it so it's so much more functional. As you can see, I can change my view with it right now. So I'm just using it as my tool to look around. Instead of using a D-pad or trying to use my mouse, I'm using that D-pad or that joystick to look around. Good to go. Now, there's a button on top that changes color from blue to red with a little LED. When you change that up, all of a sudden now I'm able to change the arm of this telehandler I'm running with. So it gives you two options. You can use it as a look around. You click the button in. All of a sudden, then you've changed your functionality, and now you're using it to change your arms, your buckets, whatever you may be using. You can totally assign that to be something totally different if you wanted to, but that there is actually one of the ones that's predetermined by Logitech for you. So that one you don't need to set up, but the rest of the buttons for the most part you do. Now, one of the problems I still do have with that the joystick itself is the way that it works. It is not like a traditional joystick. And what I mean by that is you can't do two functions at once. You can only do up and down, left or right. You can't hit diagonals and do two functions at once. If you were in the top northwest corner, for example, it's going to choose whether you're looking up or you're looking left, or whatever the other functionality you may be designed to. Only one function will activate at the same time, if that makes any sense. I hope I'm clear there. Now, there is also a twisting function to that joystick, so you can assign things and do a twist motion along with up, down, left, right. So you can do two things at once. Just be aware that is one of the shortcomings of this device. Now, we've already talked about the buttons and how their feel is not great. Also, the fact we don't have toggles on here is still mind-blowing to me, but I digress. Moving along to some other problems, I would love to have seen a way to label all the buttons. Since there are 28 different buttons on here, being able to label them in some kind of a way would have been nice. Now, I've come up with my own system. I would love to hear what you guys do for your side panel. If you have the side panel, let me know how you label them. Maybe send some pictures over on the Discord. That might be helpful as well. But currently, there's not really a great system for that I've seen that really works out all that well. I know memorization ends up being a lot of that. You know, for the price, I would almost hope that it would be backlit. That should be something you would think of it now. It would be the next options, I would think. Now, it is a plastic device, but I have to give it credit. It does feel relatively stable for the size of it. Being an all plastic unit, I have no complaints there. So as for compatibility, we know that the side panel will work with Farming Simulator 15, 17, 19, and as well 22 for PC at least. Currently on 19, it does work for PS4, and you can actually get it to work on Xbox with a lot of work. Thanks to DJ Goham for figuring that one out. Dude, I don't know how you even thought of that. So as for Farming Simulator 22 on console, we don't know if it will work on both of them. It wasn't originally supposed to. However, you never know. It still may work for PlayStation. It may work for Xbox this time around. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. We'll let you know when we find that information out as well. Stay tuned to the channel for that. So as for final thoughts, the final review of the farm equipment side panel, the heavy duty equipment side panel by Logitech. Should you get this for Farming Simulator 22? And really, it depends on where you're at. The bigger thing would be to have a wheel. If you do not have a wheel, you don't need the side panel yet. If you have a wheel, then that becomes the debate. Do you need a side panel to go with it? For the actual immersion, if you have a wheel, you want to go to a side panel, I don't see a reason why not to. It isn't a larger expense. Don't get me wrong. It is a large expense for what it is. There are cheaper options out there. However, there is nothing that quite emulates the controls you're going to get with that device. You can actually get 2 of them if you really wanted to go with 2 joysticks on that, and all the extra buttons you're going to get, because you do need all of them with Farming Sim, as you probably know. So there is a bit of a attention pull. I personally feel if you have a wheel and you're looking to spend some money on making a more authentic and more realistic feel to Farming Simulator, I say go ahead. I think it's a great purchase. There's nothing else quite like it on the market, and just because of that, yeah, it gets a thumbs up in my book. Now, of course, if you don't have a wheel, make sure you get a wheel first. That's really what you need to get with first. Whether you go with even the bundle, I still say you're better off to go with a totally different wheel than the wheel that comes in the bundle, as that one isn't quite the one you want to go with. Go with something better. Save the money that you're going to get from the bundle and put that towards a better wheel, because there's so many better options out there. So there you guys have it. If you have any questions on the side panel itself, of course, drop that down in the comments. Would love to help you out there. Come join us on the Discord, of course. We're always there as well. If you guys enjoyed today's video, slap the like. Don't forget to subscribe, folks. And I will catch you in the next one. Have a great day. This is Klutch. Over and out.